Greetings, dearly beloved, and welcome to another edition of Musings from a Tarot Reader. A little blog post, a little word vomit, a little brain candy from yours truly to the collective. And in today's video offering, we will be discussing how to up your tarot viewing game. How can you level up when you are navigating the vast sea of tarot readings out there on the internet? So, just to preface, first and foremost, these are my personal thoughts, opinions, and perceptions as one tarot reader, as one astrologer, as one human who has started this journey. And everyone has the right to read. Everyone should go out and get deck cards. I'm not claiming 100% knowing, for we are discussing the mysteries here. And also, please check out the blog post titled Who's Casting Black Magic? Recognize the red flags in tarot readings. This offering today is really a continuation from that one. And so I highly recommend, again, before tuning into today's blog post, to check out that one, link below. And I am offering these posts today in response to some dear inquirers who have requested such content in order to develop greater discernment, again, when navigating tarot readings online and what the tarot has evolved into. So if this is something that interests you, welcome. My name is Trey. This channel is Experiential Energy Anatomy. And these are going to be my 6 tips for you, again, to level up, Buttercup, when you are watching tarot readings. How can you optimize the information that you receive from a tarot reading and actually apply it to your conscious reality, aka your life, your story? Because knowledge is useless. Information is dead if it cannot be applied to what you are observing happening around you in your story. That is how you transmute knowledge into wisdom. It must be applicable. And so with that being prefaced, let's dive deep into tip number 1. I highly recommend that when you are watching any tarot reading, that you go into it with an open mind. And obviously, this sounds rather broad, but so many people are online. They are what we call vengeance watching. That is people who have a set agenda or perhaps maybe subconscious desire and are only tuning into tarot readings in order to gain information about what's going on with an ex, what their ex is possibly thinking or feeling about them, right? And this is the more, in my humble opinion, toxic aspect of tarot, especially TikTok tarot readings. And it is just feeding people's insecure, needy, narcissistic egos, and is telling you what you want to hear, right? And versus giving you the objective information, because whether or not, dear viewer, you want to accept it or not, a general reading online is meant to be what? Generalized. That way it's meant to appeal to a lot of different people, and it is not a personal reading. And if you're truly interested in finding out what's going on with a specific person, perhaps you should do a personal reading and propose the query in order to get more specific information. Because a more specific query gets more specific information when it comes to interpreting the cards. So this claiming culture that has, again, been bred by what tarot has evolved into, by vengeance watching. Oh, this reading resonates with me. I'm going to claim it. It's mine. When it's, again, a general reading, right? Unfortunately, dear viewer, you are being psychologically manipulated in that situation. Probably by a misleading title, such as, this is what your exes think you're feeling about you, or your baby daddy's in jail, or even your ex is dead, click on the details. Those are all names of real tarot readings out there in the interverse, okay? And they are designed to hook, line, and sinker, again, that desperate, needy, narcissistic personality type that is only watching tarot from a closed mind with a twisted agenda, right? That is inherently a self-reinforced delusion that somehow a general reading was personally destined for them by the algorithm about their ex, who is no longer involved in their life, unfortunately. So, tip number one, having an open mind, it brings our awareness to the concept of attunement. And attunement is something that I intend to raise awareness on within every single reading I say by thank you for tuning in today. And if you are curious to learn more about attunement, check out, again, that blog post, Who's Casting Black Magic? Now this leads us into tip number 2. I highly recommend that you attune or watch multiple readers versus just a few or even one. Because there are some tarot readers out there that are saying in their readings, please only watch my readings. I'm, have your best interests at heart, right? There's a lot of scammers out there. There's a lot of bullshit tarot readers. Please only watch my readings. In an effort to build trust and camaraderie, that way the viewer becomes addicted to their readings and keeps coming back. Just the same way that a doctor wants to get someone hooked on prescription pills, that way they keep coming back and keep giving money. It's the same low-key psychology that is going on. So it's really important that you watch multiple readers in order to gain a more holistic understanding of the ways of the land, as they say, in order to have a more holistic understanding of the energetic forecast and see, well, this reader is interpreting this card this way. This other reader had the same card popped out in their reading. Okay, let's see how they're tuning in to this energy. Let's see how they're interpreting it via their filters. And if a card pops out in multiple readings, that could make you then go into the realization, maybe this is a collective reading, a collective energy, okay? And therefore, how can this energy be manifesting by my filters and my story? So again, it's so important when you're developing discernment to not just rely on one source of information, especially one reader, okay? Because if you're truly interested and curious about the tarot, and you are watching tarot readings because you want to learn more about the tarot and want to be educated about the tarot, it's highly important that you tune in to multiple readers. It's so important because everyone can offer something if they're truly reading from a space of intending to empower the viewer versus take something from the viewer. And I can understand why so many readers offer certain types of readings, because that's what gets the most views, the most likes, the most subscribed. The basics want to hear about their exes. The basics want to be told certain messages. And therefore, a lot of that is just a very superficial, skewed perception of the implied meaning of the cards. And this leads me into tip number 3. I highly recommend that you go out and get a deck of cards yourself. Okay? If you are the type of person who is turning to a tarot reading in order to gain information, it is going to definitely up your tarot game if you go out and get your own deck. And it's going to help you in so many ways to truly connect with what tarot actually is, which is, in my humble opinion, a roadmap or a tool, a mandala, okay, that can empower you on your personal spiritual path in your soul's growth. you are a soul having a human experience, and especially the 22 major arcana, they symbolically discuss the Fool's journey, which is the journey that every single human embarks upon when incarnating on Earth. So the spirituality, the psychology of the tarot, it becomes more accessible to you when you get your own deck. Okay, and that is how the tarot can help you as well start to experience the magic, really, of the cards. But we'll dive deeper into that in a hot minute. I'm attempting to keep this video as short and sweet as possible. So again, tip number 3, go out and get your own deck. And this will help you because also if you're pulling your own messages for yourself, and let's say, for example, the Justice card popped out in your personal reading for yourself. And then you're tuning into other readers and you notice a pattern. The Justice card seems to have popped out in a lot of people's readings. You know, this is definitely confirmation for me that this is an energy that requires my conscious awareness. This is an energy that I should perhaps be looking into the deeper levels of meaning into, which leads me to tip number 4. Self-study is so important. Look into the deeper levels of meaning of any card that resonates with you, right, in a reading in your own time. Self-study is so important because so many people are dependent on other people for their own understanding of the energy that a tarot card represents. Because I always say this in my readings. The physical tarot cards themselves represent archetypal or subconscious energies. And when you research the tarot in your own time and you look into the vast depths of meaning to each card, it is going to empower you and better help you identify in your story, especially with the major players, such as the Emperor, the Empress, the High Priest, the Hierophant, and all of the court cards, such as the King of Wands, the Queen of Swords, etc. It will help you in your story when you're out there living what they say is in reality. When you're out there living life in reality, it will help you to have that intuitive moment of insight. Aha, this person is embodying the Emperor. This person is the Emperor in my story. Or, aha, I see. This person is the Queen of Swords in my story. That is why it's so important to research the deeper levels of meaning to these cards. That way you can understand how they may manifest in your story. Which now leads me into tip number 5. Observe what is actually manifesting around you in your story. Get a journal, an observation journal, and start to, every day, make that sacred alone time. Create that space to just reflect on your day and write down what happened, what manifested for you. Why? Because this is, again, how the tarot becomes interactive. And so many people who are consuming toxic tarot readings are just watchers. They're just a viewer, a consumer, and they're not soul players in the story of their own life, in the movie of their own life. Okay? And when you start to understand that the tarot is an interactive tool that can empower you in your soul's growth, that can help you discover your personal frequency, your magic, your soul contract, your reason for incarnating on Earth, that's where the real magic is. And to, again, be dependent on someone else for self-understanding is inherently disempowering. And why is this? Well, the tarot talks to us about the deepest mysteries of the human experience. And anyone who has studied a little bit of metaphysics may understand the duality of objectivity versus subjectivity. And I'll give it to you in very simple terms. There is a hidden subjective reality behind the scenes, coexisting at the same time, right here, right now, in the present moment, with objective reality. That is what we collectively agree to be reality when we say things so flippantly like, he needs a reality check, or she's not living in reality, or that's not true. Well, dear viewer, truth is relative to the observer, because the awareness of the duality of subjectivity versus objectivity led the great minds like Albert Einstein to come up with the theory of relativity. And so, what does this mean for you when you're watching a tarot reading? When you are attempting to experience and derive meaning about archetypes or subconscious energies, your subjective personal experience of those spiritual energies is perhaps, arguably, more important than someone else's understanding of them. Right? The collective objective reality that we all are frankly imprisoned by in the matrix is one of the biggest blocks when it comes to spiritual development, is understanding the subject-object perception that is inherent in the toxic masculine perception. And I say toxic masculine, not just saying that men are in that perception. Men, women, non-binaries, what have you, have all been raised in the toxic masculine subject-object perception of what we label reality. So now this was too deep a dive for you. Sorry, I'm not sorry. But tip number 5, again, is it's so important to observe what is manifesting around you in your story, because that is how you're going to, again, start to interact with the tarot in a more high vibe way, in a way that is, again, actually personalized for you. And this is why, again, it's so important to get your own deck. You can have one walk-away message from this blog post is go out and get your own deck. Now this leads us into tip number 6, our final tip. Okay? So we've been talking a lot about meaning, right? Especially in relation to subjectivity versus objectivity. And my final tip is, when you are watching a tarot reading online, in order to up your tarot viewing game, pay attention not only to the message that the reader is giving you, pay attention not only to the card itself that the message is about, but also pay attention, dear viewer, to the sequence in which cards pop out. Because in a set spread, the sequence is very important because it helps to create a story, and that helps you, derive meaning in order to, again, apply the information to your life. Because in any story, there's a set sequence. There's an introduction, a middle section, and a conclusion. And the story arc is very important to understanding the meaning or the lesson. So the sequence, right, of cards is also very important because it is inviting the viewer into, again, the deeper understandings of the relationships between the cards and the relationships between the planets that certain cards represent in astrology and in the tarot. And why is this important? What you may be asking. Why should I be paying attention to the sequence, to the numbers, to the numerology? Well, besides the fact that all these sacred sister sciences are interconnected and one must study them all in order to have a deeper level of understanding, just like in the Hebrew alphabet or in ancient Egyptian hieroglyphs, the sequence was very important to understand because context is everything when you are deriving implied meaning. So in Hebrew, for example, there are unwritten breath or unbreathed consonants, okay? And someone who is trained in Hebrew initially learns these, and later on when they are astute in the language, doesn't need to read the implied consonants because they understand from context what that word is. And so the meaning is implied. And this is invoking really deep spiritual wisdom because those consonants are usually in breath or unbreath, which is invoking prana, the breath, the life force, Yahweh, God, whatever you want to call it. And there's a lot of wisdom there. And I'm no surprise that the Kabbalah resonates with the Tarot so deeply. But again, the point is that the context of the sequence gives rise to the possible implied meaning. And same like in Egyptian hieroglyphs, okay? Hieroglyphs, if you look into Laird Scranton's work, Dr. Carmen Bolter's work, people who study ancient Egyptian hieroglyphs, and understand that an individual hieroglyph doesn't just correlate to an English letter in the Greco-Roman alphabet. No. Hieroglyphs function more like acronyms, okay? And scribes or initiates were very much trained to understand the individual meanings and all its levels of meaning to each glyph. That way, when a certain combination of glyphs were strung together, just like a certain combination of tarot cards, right? There was all this implied meaning that created like an extended sentence or a story. So, for example, in English, an acronym such as BRB, anyone who is reading that and has been raised in the English language in modern day times understands that that's not meant to be interpreted literally. It's standing for something else symbolically. BRB, we know, stands for be right back. So if you're attempting to understand the deeper levels of meaning, implied meaning, to the tarot cards, just like ancient Egyptian hieroglyphs, just like the Hebrew alphabet, context is everything, and the sequence is key. So that is how I will end this Musings from a Tarot Reader today, almost 24 minutes deep. If you tune in all the way to the end of today, thank you so much for attuning to this blog post, to these musings. I hope you found some useful information, again, that you can apply to your tarot journey. Please leave a comment in the comment section below if you feel like I missed any important points. I always respond to high vibe engagement. And with that being said, tune in to my channel for the latest general collective readings, such as the Twin Flame readings, okay, the High Priestess Full Moon Secret Spread readings. And if you are interested in extended tarot readings, the Need to Know series for your individual sign, check out my Patreon page for the extended readings. And with all that being offered to the Interverse, I truly am wishing you a high vibe day. Toodaloo.